Hello, my name is William Burrows. I'm the founder of the Annuity Project. And in this video, all about annuities, part 2, I'm going to look at how annuities work. I'm going to look at annuity pricing, the concept of an annuity being like a mortgage in reverse. I'll talk about mortality cross subsidy, and finally the relationship between annuity rates and yields. Just a bit of warning first, this is going to get a little bit technical and complicated. But if you're serious about annuities, it's important you understand how annuity works. So it doesn't matter whether you're an individual client looking to learn more or a financial advisor looking to brush up your skills. Bear with me because I think this is really interesting stuff. If you've seen the video part 1, Annuity Basics, you'll have seen this slide, and this just shows how a typical annuity is put together and priced. Typically, you'll use maybe £100,000 to buy the annuity. The insurance company will calculate the amount of income taking into account life expectancy, interest rates, and annuity options. So for somebody, say 65, with using a 5% implied interest rate, the annuity income will be, say, £7,000 per annum. So I think you can describe an annuity being like a mortgage in reverse. So what do I mean? Well, let's think about a mortgage. So if you take out a mortgage, typically the bank will lend you, let's say, £100,000. They'll calculate the monthly payments, and that'll include repayment of capital and interest. And they use interest rates, and for example, 5%, and the term of the mortgage, for example, 25 years. So this means that with a mortgage, you repay the capital and interest. So by the end of the term, the loan has been repaid in full. With an annuity, it's the opposite. You invest, let's say, £100,000 with an insurance company, and then they'll calculate the monthly payments. It's quite complex, but effectively they're repaying the capital and interest using the yield on investments, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, and the term of the annuity. Now, there's no fixed term. It's open-ended, but the term of the annuity at the beginning, it's based on the expected life expectancy. So with an annuity, if the annuitant lives the full term, i.e. to their normal life expectancy, they will receive all of the money plus interest, and that'll be paid back. So if we look at the mortgage payments in this example, it's about £7,000 a year, and funny enough, the annuity payments are about £7,000 a year. And in the following slides, I'm going to show you how I've got to their numbers. But something that's really important before we move on, in this example, the mortgage is a fixed term, whereas the term of the annuity, it's open-ended and depends on life expectancy. So let's look at the mortgage repayments. This is a screenshot of a simple online calculator. So we're using a £100,000 mortgage with an interest rate of 5% and a mortgage term of 25 years. The monthly payments are 585, which comes out at £7,000 per annum. If we look at my Best Buy annuity tables, a man of 65 or a lady of 65, because there's no difference in pricing nowadays, for a single life annuity with £100,000, guaranteed 5 years, level monthly payments, an average annuity is £7,110 per annum. So you can see the annuity and the mortgage come out to be the same. So I talked about the term being 25 years, and this is a screenshot from the Office of National Statistics, showing that for a 65-year-old, average life expectancy is 20 years to 85, but someone has a 1 in 4 chance of living to 25 years. So actuaries will give somebody of 65 about 25 years to live. And finally, the interest rate. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but a good proxy for an annuity interest rate is the yield on gilts. I take the 15-year gilts, and this is a screenshot from the FT very recently, and you'll see the yields 4.86%. Let's call that 5% rounded up. So let me just recap so far. So annuity pricing depends on life expectancy, yields and options. We can think of an annuity being like a mortgage in reverse. The annuity payments include some of the original capital plus interest. So whereas for a mortgage, the payments are a fixed term, but with annuities, there's no fixed term. It's open-ended because it depends on how long the annuity lives. So using the same assumptions, the annuity payments and mortgage are similar, just showing my explanation works. Now, I do wonder, why I went into so much detail on this, but I think there's a really important point that's going to come out of this, which is, annuities are, value for money. My mortgage in reverse analogy helps demonstrate that, for most people, they'll get their capital plus their interests back if they live to normal life expectancy. Mortality cross subsidy is the concept, is the principle upon which annuities are based. So in our mortgage in reverse example, I talked about there being no fixed term. And this may not, seem fair because some people will live longer than expected and they'll get more than their capital plus interest, and the annuity company loses out. On the other side of the coin, some people will live for a shorter period of time. They won't live to their normal life expectancy and get less than their original capital plus interest. So the annuity company profits. So this demonstrates the concept of mortality cross subsidy. Those that die early create a surplus which funds the payments for those that live longer than expected. And it's worth pointing out that this is a basic principle of insurance. The same thing applies to car insurance or house insurance. I've just reversed my car into a lamppost. So I might make a claim on my insurance policy. And the claim will be more than the premiums I paid this year. But the insurance company won't be losing out because there will be other people who have got a car policy who won't claim for this year. So the concept of insurance is well established. Let's look at this mortality cross subsidy in more detail. Is it fair? Well, I've already explained, the principle applies to other types of insurance. But there are various ways to make the mortality cross subsidy more fair. First of all, annuities are based on postcodes. Actuaries think that postcodes is a proxy for wealth, so those that live in Millionaires Row will get a lower annuity than those living in, say, the Gorbals in Glasgow. Nothing against Glasgow, could equally be the East End of London or other deprived areas. We could look at personal and lifestyle, so higher rates for those who smoke, overweight or heavy drinkers. And finally, health and illness. Those with medical conditions that may reduce their life expectancy may qualify for enhanced annuities. Now we'll look at annuities and bond yields. In our mortgage in reverse example, we used an interest rate equal to the 15-year gilt yield. I use the 15-year gilt yield as the benchmark, and I refer to this when I write and talk about annuity trends. But in practice, annuity providers don't invest in gilts mainly. They invest in corporate bonds, commercial property, and other matching assets. This means that if yields the annuity providers change their annuity rates. And if yields go up, annuity rates go up. If yields go down, annuity rates go down. Now there's a useful rule of thumb: for every 100 basis points change in yield, annuities will change on average by 8 or 10%. There you go, I'm using jargon again, basis points. 100 basis points is the way of describing of change in yields from, say, 5 to 4%. So a 1% change in interest rates or yields is explained as 100 basis points. We'll look at this in more detail on the next slide. Shows that in practice. So if we look, for example, I've taken the period September 2020 to February 2022, the yields, the 15-year bond yield was up 92 points, and annuities were up, nearly 11%. This rule doesn't work all the time, because naturally there are time lags between changing bond yields and annuity companies repricing, but it's useful to bear in mind. So in conclusion, I think it's really important to understand how annuities works, because it helps demonstrate that annuities are value for money. Most people will get their money back plus interest if they live at least to their normal life expectancy. So when you read in the paper somebody describing annuities as legalized theft or insurance companies ripping people off, you can point to the concept of the mortality cross subsidy, where some people win, some people lose. Some people describe an annuity as being a bet with an actuary, and hopefully it's a bet that you will win. So it does help to understand the link between annuities and bond yields. If you want to know the future trend in rates, then simply look at the bond markets and interest rates. Well, I hope you found this video interesting and helpful. Please do look out for the other videos in this series. And if you have any questions, please send me an email. Thank you and goodbye.